Hello, everyone. Welcome to Indie Author Day. So thank you so much for being here. This is our fourth annual Indie Author Day with the Pikes Peak Library District. And so we're happy you could all be here to join us. And there's been a few new additions this year. So my name's Heather Johnson. I am one of the librarians for the Adult Services Department here with Pikes Peak Library District. I am one of the self-publishing liaisons for the district. So if you have any questions about self-publishing, independent publishing, is what we do, and that's one of the events that we host for the library each year. And so I hope you picked up one of our programs today. So those programs can be found on the table as soon as you walk in. And so this tells you a little bit about our all-day event happening until 4 o'clock today, along with one of the new additions to our program this year are the author tables that we have here. So our local self-published or independently published authors are here to represent our community of writers. And on the back of the program, you'll see that who the authors are represented today. And folks, feel free to go around and mingle with them. They would be a great resource to learn more about the process of self-publishing and independent publishing, or publishing in general. And so a little bit more housekeeping is we do have some refreshments on the side of the room here. We will be having some light refreshments coming out right after our keynote speaker here today. And our keynote speaker is starting off our full day of programs today. And so keynote speaker and opening session, the IndiPub Adventure, True Tales of Independent Publishing Success. And this is with Eric Sprinkle, who is an author, speaker, and adventurer, the founder of Adventure Experience. And he will be at the table to the left of the stage to talk more about his presentation, about his works, and any questions that you might have following his presentation. Okay, so with that said, ready to get started? All right, great. Eric Sprinkle, if you please join us on the stage.
Thank you so very much, Heather. Yes, indeed, we are doing the IndiPub Adventure today. My name is Eric. I am your guide through the IndiPub Adventure. Stand by while we just get all our programs in place. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I love this. I love this. Welcome, guys. Happy Hunger Games. Oh, wait. No, that was last week. Happy IndiPub. Happy Indie Adventure Day and the Author Day. Okay, I'm going to start. You heard a little bit about me from Heather. I can tell you a little bit more about me here in a bit. What I want to start out with is I want to learn a little bit more about you. So what we're going to do is I have a statistical analysis tool. It's very unscientific, but it gets the job done. If you guys are okay with it, it's basically a game called That's Me. Here's what it looks like. I call out a very simple statement. If it's true for you, you reply back in a nice loud voice, That's me. Pretty simple. Everybody makes sense to everybody? Author tables, you are also playing this game, so we'll start out very, very simply. You live in Colorado. Beautiful. You guys, you got this down. You love living in Colorado. You love living in Colorado on snow days. All right, we start to feel a few people drop out there. Those are the people who live in Monument, by the way, so that's fair. That's okay. You are an independent author. You have published a book through traditional publishing methods. Oh, okay, we got one or two back there. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, you have published a book through the independent publishing process. Perfect. If you got a table back there, you should be answering up nice and loud right now. You have published a book, perhaps, through the hybrid publishing process. Perfect. I heard one. Excellent. We're going to talk about that later. Whoever said that's me, that's your resource for the hybrid publishing process later on during the break. So get a little idea of who's here, who's around you, because these are going to be your resources the rest of the day, right? We got sessions going on all through the day. These are the people you want to bother or approach their table and ask good questions, however you want to describe it. These are the people you want to be talking to throughout the day. These are your resources, okay? It's not just the people on stage. It's the people back there who've done this process, who've gone through it. That's what we're going to be talking about. Now, for myself, my name is Eric. Yes, my business card describes me as an author, speaker, and adventurer. Author, speaker, adventurer. Now, everybody tends to ask me, what does that look like? It's kind of like, I'm the executive assistant in charge of customer retention. Yeah, what does that look like? Okay, author, speaker, adventurer, what it looks like is my job. Gentlemen, hold on to your hats. This is my job. My job looks like this. I go crazy-looking places. Oh, yeah. I do crazy-looking things. Oftentimes, I do it with very crazy talented people. And I got to tell you, some of these places I go to are absolutely crazy beautiful. Unbelievable. Once I'm there, I take photos, I take videos. I use those then for logo images for my business. I'll use them, I'll use the photos in my books. I'll use the stories in my books. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll use a lot of that stuff. I'll bring it together and use it in talks that I do. Traveling around the country to interesting places like Philadelphia and Atlanta, yes, and talking to corporations, talking to associations, talking to groups about, taking risks, facing challenges, getting outside your comfort zone, even just one step. Here today, we're talking about that. We're doing it all under the auspices of Adventure Experience. That's what I operate under. Now, the takeaway for you guys is simply this. Where most speakers tend to use references or metaphors based around home building or sports or cars or something like that, mine generally tend more about like rappelling off waterfalls or something like that. So just be with that today. But what we're really talking about today is the books, okay? Right here you see two of them, Adventure Devos, that's my book. The elevator speech, everybody's got an elevator speech for their book, right? Okay, my elevator speech. It's godly wisdom, biblical insights, all illustrated with adventure activities like hiking, biking, rafting, climbing, or potentially being chased by ravenous wolves. Super fun book, okay? We're going to talk about that here in a bit. The key is, and can I just say right now, we all live in Colorado Springs. So the advantages available to us that when we need to take quick marketing shots. Okay, my co-author lives in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. She doesn't get to do marketing shots like this. Me, I run 20 minutes across town, take a shot in Garden of the Gods, and it's like, that looks brilliant, thank you. It's where we live, people. Don't abuse it. So the books, yeah, basically, I'm here because these books, this is what I did, okay? And here's the key, if you want to know. I don't know about you guys. When you're a writer, when you're prior to writing your book, you kind of dream about what you're going to write someday. Me, I kind of thought like spy novels, action adventure. No, I've got it. I will do nonfiction articles for adventure magazines. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'll write. Can I just say, biblical devotional never quite came on my radar. That said, you got to write the book that's inside of you. We're going to get back to that over and over again. This was the book that was inside of me, and I did it, and I had a blast doing it. Here's the key, though. When we're talking about writing and we're talking about dreams, the ultimate dream of every writer everywhere is simply this. I want to land a contract with a traditional publisher. On June 26th of last year, my brilliant co-author and I had not one contract, we had two contracts from traditional publishers for those books you just saw. We were elated, to say the word. We thought about it, we talked about it, we went through, and, well, let me just say, here's the reason Heather asked me to talk for Indie Author Day and not Mountains of Authors back in the spring. Because with those two contracts in hand and all the possibilities they entailed, we said no. Okay. Before you all walk out and say, this guy has no idea what he's doing. No, sir, keep your seat. I promise. Stay with me here. I'm gonna tell you what's going on. This is the nature of IndiPub, you guys. The industry has changed. It is doing crazy, wacky things everywhere across the board. And it's been doing it fairly recently. If we look at IndiPub as an industry 5 years ago, I'm just going to tell you right now, it didn't exist. It was Vanity Pub. Vanity Pub was that awful, awful space that people went to make books for their organization or for their family reunions, and we use them now as examples of what not to do, right? They're like all caps or terrible margins, something awful, right? That was what we had 5 years ago. Then, 4 years ago, something changed. Well, the digital revolution is what changed. but it started to affect the publishing industry. And suddenly, IndiPub is on the scene and people are talking about it at conferences, at events like this. 3 years ago, it's not just something we're talking about. Now, we're talking about considering the options of IndiPub, right? All those panel discussions, all those editor panels and the agent panels that you get at the writing events, at the conferences, they're all talking about this 3 years ago. The option of choosing IndiPub over traditional pub. 2 years ago, it literally hit the tipping point. It became a viable alternative. Not, well, if you can't get traditional publishing, you can go IndiPub. No, 2 years ago is when it officially switched over to, are you looking at traditional publishing or are you going to go IndiPub? It's a legitimate option. Nobody's looking at you funny. Nobody's poking you in the eye about going IndiPub as of 2 years ago. In fact, as of 1 year ago, just this last year, I did 2 writers' conferences. I'm faculty with 2 of them, and everybody was not, they're not talking about IndiPub anymore. They're talking about the options, and that is traditional, indie, or hybrid, because now it's all changed up. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were all walking around these events and we were holding our little printed manuscript copies and we were handing them to people and asking, do you like it? Are you interested in this, right? You're walking around the scene of whatever writing conference you're at and you're shopping your work around hoping somebody will bite. No more. IndiPub has changed all that up. And the big key here is indie done right. That's a term I've heard used in a lot of places. I'm a big fan of it, so you're going to hear me using a lot. You guys go ahead and go nuts with it yourself. The key here is indie done right. There's a lot of indie done wrong. You know indie done wrong because you've seen it out on Amazon. The books that have been up there on Amazon for about 2 years, and you notice they have 1, maybe 2 reviews. One of them's from the author's mom, okay? That's indie done wrong. Nobody's buying it. I'm telling you, the audiences on Amazon are smart cookies, and they will self-select out of indie done wrong. Indie done right looks fantastic. In fact, it's almost indistinguishable from traditional publishing books at this time. Have a look at some of these guys around here. If worst case scenario, come look at one of my books. Pick up one of my books, flip through it, okay? Sniff it, you can rub it against your face, look at the cover artwork, look at the inside. I'm not talking about, oh, have a look at my work. No. Look at the printing. Look at the printing on this book, and I dare you to say that is not absolutely production quality. It's amazing what they're doing with print on demand now, and that's where it is. Indie done right is indistinguishable. So, let's go there. Let's talk about, we had a number of people talking about, yeah, they've done the publishing process, they have not done the publishing process. We got a lot of people probably in the middle with some projects on tap. I'm going to take you there. I'm going to take you on my journey to that strange, exotic, far-off place known as IndiPub. Here's the problem. IndiPub, it feels familiar. You kind of know the rules, you know what everything's supposed to look like, so it feels very familiar, and yet it's strangely foreign. Kind of like Canada. It feels awfully familiar, and yet it's not the minute you get out on the highway and start driving. I'm sorry, what's the speed limit? Yeah, it's one of those things here. So I was just bouncing around at writers' conferences, okay? I did them for the last 4 or 5 years. At one point, they asked me to, do staff at one. They asked me to be faculty for another one. So it's been wonderful. But I have been there shopping around my ideas and getting no traction. Even worse, you do get traction. Oh, an agent loved one of mine. Never heard from her. We had another publisher. She started giggling at my option. She was reading. Okay, this is never a good sign. Granted, it was for a different reason. It was it was legit. But she started giggling when she was reading my stuff. Okay, I'm just saying, never heard back from her again. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. If you don't want to be shopping stuff around, you don't need to do it. Because the number one benefit of IndiPub, in my opinion, you get an idea. You get an idea here today. There is no sitting on that idea until the major writing conferences come up next spring so you can shop it around to the publishers and see what they think of it and see if you get any bites. No. That model is over. You can do that if you want, but if you choose IndiPub, that idea you have this afternoon, you're working on it tonight. You're working on it tomorrow. You're filling that thing out through the fall, and you may have it on a book table here next year. That's IndiPub. So, I ran into a gal at one of these conferences. I threw an idea past her. She and I both talked about, well, we could do this IndiPub thing. Remember, 2 years ago, IndiPub was a legit option. We said we're going to do it. And no kidding, we did some talking over the summertime, and come September 1, oh yeah, it's official. We are doing it. The amazingness of IndiPub was pretty quick. I'm just telling you guys, the benefits just explode in your face, and it's exactly what you think. Do we want call-outs in our book? Do we want to break up the text with call-outs? Up to us. What kind of content do we want? That's up to us. Do we want to do 750-word devos or 1,200-word, 1,100-word, 1,000-word? Totally up to us. We decide everything. Why? Because it's our book. Time frame. What's the time frame when we're going to have the book done? We decide. Deadlines? Up to us. Where to begin? When to end? We decide all of it. We decided in this case, we're going to go for it. We started on September 1st. We were looking to have the book done, finished, and in some sort of printed form by the time next spring when the writers' conferences came around again. This was pretty aggressive, but we decided we were going to do it because it's our book. You want to pay for an editor, or you want to see if we can get somebody else to do it? Do you want to do cover art, or you want to get your friend that does, graphic design? How about formatting? Can we do the formatting, typesetting ourselves, or do we want to pay somebody to do it? We decide all of that. Now, that said, we get to our first negative, our first con, if you will. If you're going to have an editor, you pay the editor. If you're going to have an official person do cover art, you pay for the cover art. Formatting, typesetting, you have to pay those bills. But that's a pretty small con. That's a pretty small negative in terms of the fact that you are in utterly, complete, unquestioned control of your book. Nobody is telling you they don't like your cover, redo it. Nobody is telling you you have to redo your first chapter. Nobody is telling you to tighten up what you're doing. It is all you. Absolutely amazing feeling. So, we decided one of the things we would do to save money is we would limit our editing experience, not get rid of it, 2 rounds of editing. 2 rounds of editing is what you want to do for your IndiPub project. That's just a given, okay? But we're going to make it very, very easy for our editors. So we basically decided we will do 6 rounds of self-editing apiece. Who here is a fan of self-editing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Not many. Okay, well, 6 times around. Again, choose the book that's in you because you're going to be spending a lot of time with it. Obviously, the first draft, the first round of editing is real easy because the first draft is just the blah draft, right? You just get it out. Ladies and gentlemen, do not edit yourself on your first draft while you write it. Leave it alone. Just get it out. It's about knowledge capture. It's not about looking pretty. Second round, yes, you're going to work it into shape. Now, this is actually pretty easy because your first draft is such a hot mess. It takes like no effort to go in and actually make it look decently. By the time you get to your third draft, it's actually looking pretty sharp enough that you can actually look at sending it out to your editor for the first round editing. They send it back with their comments, you work it through again, you send it around to the second round editor. At some point, you're going to kill all the punctuation and grammar checking. Your line editor's already caught most of it, but you're going to do a quick proof on there just to make sure there's no squigglies in Word. And at the sixth one, you basically are doing that. Read it out loud. This is your finished product. It should sound good. It should flow. Now, we did not do a macro editor. That's a very high-level editor. You fiction writers are going to have macro editors. They're going to look at your book from start to finish, make sure the story arc is consistent throughout. For us, we're writing devotionals, right? They're 850 words. It's short-form stuff. It's not too terribly tricky to make sure it all flows, but you do want to make sure it flows, make sure it reads correctly. Reading it out loud, you will catch it. And if somebody says, reading it out loud doesn't do it for me, okay, here's one trick you can do. Go into Microsoft Word, go to the editing options. There's an option in there where you can tell Word, read it out loud to me. You can also choose the dude's voice or the chick's voice. I'm going to say go with the woman, but you can have Word read it out loud to you. If you want to catch wonky sentences and weird writing that no one has caught at that point, that's how you're going to catch it. That was going well, but then you find yourself in what we like to affectionately call the messy middle. Oh, Susanna, what have we done? Yep. By November, we were into the official editing cycle, and my first misnomer about the IndiPub process and editing, That came to light very early on, where I thought the more editors you throw at your work, the better it gets, approaching 100% perfect by the end. This is wrong, totally, completely wrong. No, what I found is you can throw editors at your work over and over again. You will get to about 80, 85, 90% correct. But one woman sat me down and had to tell me, Eric, the final problems with your writing, all the errors that you're going to finally get, the last error you're going to hear is from your readers. You can never get rid of all the errors. I'm kind of anal about my writing projects. I'm like, no, we will get rid of all the errors. No, it didn't. Actually, what happened was the more editors we throw at it, the more editor number one would say, this sentence works best with the last part of the sentence first. You throw it to the next editor, and they would say, I think this sentence, we're going to put the first part of the sentence last. It just went into this weird recycling type thing where it didn't get any better. So, be realistic with your editing process. Know that you're not going to get it there. Let me just ask now, how many people have projects where they have a relationship right now with an editor? Show hands. Beautiful. Everybody back there? Yeah. Your hands are up. Beautiful. For those of you who have not had the wonder of entering into a relationship with an editor, it can be a little tricky. We're going to talk about that here. First thing I'm going to tell you, though, is if you want to know what I have found to be, no question, the way to work with an editor, I'm going to give it to you right now. It's simply this, okay? You're going to send your work to an editor. They're going to send it back to you. Your beautiful, beautiful words are going to come back from that editor, and they are going to be a hot mess of corrections and notes and comments and squiggly words and miscolored words. It's just going to look awful, and you're going to have yourself a little cry. That's okay. What you need to do, relax, take a deep breath, do what I'm telling you right here. First thing, make a copy of whatever your editor sent you. Download it from your email, make a copy immediately. In that copy, go into Word's tracking reviewing option, go into the track changes and say, accept all and stop tracking. Okay? At that point, your copy looks like kind of a clean Word document again. All the squiggles, all the stuff's gone away. You just accepted all of it. Now, I want you to read through it. Sometimes it works out to have the copy over here and have the original right next to it. And then what you do is you read through. Here's the trick. If you read through and you catch something, doesn't sound like you, that word feels wrong, something just reads a little wonky. At this point, find out what it is, look over on the original. You're going to see in all that craziness, you're going to see where they made an edit to it. Highlight that edit and say, delete, get rid of it, okay? Everything, keep going on, right? Keep reading through. Oh, there's a word that seems a little weird. Go back over. Yep, they changed that word, okay? Go in there and take out that word, reject that change. By the time you're done, you're going to get to the end of your copy, your clean-looking copy with all the changes approved. You're going to get to the end of that, and in your initial copy, everything you caught just got rejected. You with me? Go to your original copy where everything you needed to have rejected is rejected. Everything else that's left, approve it. I know. It's hard. If you need to, take a couple of deep breaths, approve everything, and then most importantly, immediately save it as an extra revision. My writing, everyone has their own style. Again, talk to these people in the back about how they keep their revisions good. Here's my thing. You never, ever want to look at two versions of a Word document and ask yourself, which one has the latest changes? Oh, no. So as soon as you make a change or something, save it, do a save as, and when you save as, the naming convention that we used was, devotional number 17, comma, Rev 2.1, comma, ES. And I would put my initials next to it because I was the person that last touched it. So if anybody wants to know what changes did I make in it, they know to come to me. I'm the person on the team that last touched it. And then sometimes I would put in parentheses, all edits approved. And that sometimes looked like our final, right? Once we'd gone through and get our, our editing all taken care of, yeah, sometimes that would go through there. So the key is, we brought our second round editor in. Not such a great process. She was doing what I would call momming it up. This is an adventure book. We're talking about cold water immersion and holding your breath as long as you can, and she was trying to soften some of those pages. Ladies and gentlemen, the editor, you're going to have a relationship with this person, okay? Make sure you are comfortable with them and they are comfortable with you. If nothing else, you want to be able to sit down with that person and have lunch and have a fun time with them. If you can't do that, maybe you're not going to work with them, okay? Because they need to know your tone, your work, your mannerisms. This person should know you. They should know what your work sounds like, and they should be able to mimic it or change it at least a little bit. Also, any editor you're ever going to work with, send them 3 pages, have them edit it, send it back to you, right? If you do that little trick where you make a copy, accept all their changes, and read through it, if you're finding everything sounds wonky, that's not the editor for you. If you read through and you didn't really actually notice any of their edits, and then you look over at the page and there's like, a trillion edits, oh, that actually is the person you want to work with. And know that a lot of editors are these lovely older folks who've worked in the industry for like 20, 30 years, and now they do it on the side, and they just know everything. That's wonderful, but newer editors, just remember, you and I as writers, we have that problem where we're always trying to get our clips out there. We're always trying to get something online that we can point to other people. Editors have the exact same problem. Some of them will work on your project just for the visibility. Don't discount newer editors. They're absolutely amazing. So here we are going through, playing around with the second round editor. We got a new gal. She went to town on it. There wasn't much to do at that point, so that was actually pretty easy. Me, you're always writing the book, IndiPub. You're always writing the book and at the same time looking for the next step, researching the next step. In this case, cover art. Hey, you know what? Everyone who said, go to your friend who does that graphic design. They'll be a great cover artist for your book. No, they will not. Ask anybody at one of these back tables. They probably had the same discussion, and they had to tell all their wonderful friends with, graphic art designs, you're not going to do my book. Why not? Because book covers are not the same as everything else. They can make it look good, but unfortunately, when you flip your book over and you see that big square where the ISBN and the UPC code goes, that you can't plan for that. You have to have it exactly right. And Amazon, oh, Susanna, Amazon these days, if you don't have your cover within a hundredth of a millimeter, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. Amazon will kick back your cover and say, it's not within specs. No, it is within specs. No, it's not within specs. It's driving. I got a guy who does cover art, and he's getting crazy on it. So you want to make sure you're working with professionals on this. Again, when we're talking about the beauty of IndiPub, hey, what do you want to use for your cover art? We decide. If you want to use a cover photo, yeah, let's use one of mine. It looks pretty good. Awesome, let's do that. Royalty free. Hey, back cover copy, we're writing it. Front cover copy, you got it. Back cover photo, yep, I went ahead and threw that out as well. ISBN, we own it. It's all ours. The title, the subtitle, everything is ours. There is no committee of editors at your publishers pushing back. It's all you. And if you throw it out to your beta readers and they like it, you're pretty much done. And I started tracking down print options. Who can actually print this book? Final revisions and, did I mention scheduling? Like, you can come up with your own schedule, which was really good in this case because I was actually leaving for the Grand Canyon for a 25-day trip I had on my calendar for the last year. Normally, a book project would get in the way of that type thing. For us, not a problem. We just planned on, hey, all final revisions are done by the time I leave for the Grand. We will upload all the files to Dropbox. We'll send them to a very nice gentleman in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area who is going to do our formatting typesetting. We're going to send everything to him, and I'm going to go away completely out of connectivity for a month, but it doesn't matter. because he's going to run and do his thing with it while I'm gone. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, setting up your schedule, your book schedule, completely around you. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. And so, I did. I took off from our IndiPub project, left it in the hands of a gentleman out in Pennsylvania, and I went on the Grand Canyon. Now, quick interlude here. If you've never been on the Grand Canyon, if you've never floated the Grand Canyon, may I just say, there is a reason why it's one of the more wonderful places on earth, and everyone, it is beloved. Ladies and gentlemen, you spend your days, all 25 of them, floating down beautiful rivers, taking side hikes, hiking up to ancient Anasazi granaries. You go down and find pictographs. You go into some places that look like the Garden of Eden, for crying out loud, and they're all just side canyons, and no one's out there because it's the Grand Canyon and not everyone can get permits. So it's pretty much just you and some of the most beautiful hikes on earth. Oh, and there's big rapids too, if you guys are into that. At the end of it, 25 days later, we are talking about wrapping up the trip, and at some point I realized, oh yeah, I'm like writing a book. We're going to get back to that. Somewhere in, I want to say it was Gallup, New Mexico, I finally found my phone at the bottom of a dry bag, turned it on, and then began that synchronization process of, 1 month of emails and new texts and voice messages and whatnot. So, somewhere in there, though, I had something from our formatter. And it basically said, all those Word documents we'd been working with for months. He had an email coming back, and it was something along the lines of, check out this low-res PDF of your book. Single PDF. Ladies and gentlemen, everything we've been working on, I opened up that PDF, and all of a sudden, it was real. It looked just like a book. Okay, it's a little weird when you're like in a pickup truck full of dudes driving back from a Grand Canyon trip and you're getting all choked up and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing. It's our book. It's for real." We actually went along through that. It was absolutely beautiful. Again, you do want to make sure whatever you're writing is the book in you. Not the book your friend told you is a good idea, not the one that the publisher said you should change it to, because the publisher isn't even part of your equation, but you got to be careful because other people will jump in and they will say, book number 2 is going to be more successful, it's going to make you more money. If book number 2, however, is not something you want to be immersed in, deeply, deeply immersed in, skip it. For us, we were almost there. So close, so close. I got back May. I was once again going out in the wilderness again for 8 days with, it was a local high school here that had a bunch of at-risk kids. I was going to go out in the wilderness with these guys. So, yeah, we went ahead and set up for, before I leave, we are going to take our high-res, text copy. We're going to take the high-res cover copy. We're going to send it all to a guy who's going to send it to a printer. When I get back from 8 days in Desolation Canyon with a bunch of high school kids, when I get back, we should have a box with a book in it. The answer was no. I came back and found that he had left me an invoice instead, and hope you have a great time, and go ahead and pay this invoice, and we'll get going on that. I found, as an IndiPub author, I found that this gentleman did not possess the sense of urgency that we all did on the rest of the team, and so we got rid of him, and I called up the printer directly, and we tried this again. At this point, the books arrive at my house 1 week before the conference that we planned to show it off at. I picked the book up, I brought it in, I stared at it for a little while, I carefully opened it up, and ladies and gentlemen, that is when the most magical moment of IndiPub happens. You open the box, and there's your book. and it looked perfect. The colors were sharp, they were vibrant, the raft looks good, the text looked good, the back cover copy looked good. I cannot tell you how elated I was. In fact, probably the only thing that matched the elation I felt looking at this book in physical form was when I actually opened it up and looked inside and realized the gutters are tanked. These books are no good. What? Okay, everybody knows what gutters are? Just in case. All right, so obviously books don't lay flat, so when you open a book, you've got a certain spot towards the middle, towards the spine, towards the binding. You can't put words there because you can't open the book up enough. Okay, they put words there. I don't know what went on. Basically, I called up these guys and I said, what's going on? Can we fix this? Here's the problem. If you want a hard proof, always get a hard proof from your printer so you know this isn't a problem before you order 50 of them. If you want a hard proof, it's going to take 3 days. The conference is in 7 days. If you like the hard proof and you want to get actual copies, we can get those to you 5 to 7 days after that. I said, you know what? Go ahead and fix it. Use that 5 to 7 days to send those books directly to the conference venue. I'll open them when I get there. And hopefully they're looking good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is when I want to just caution you. When you find a team of individuals, editors, formatters, typesetters, cover artists, whoever it is, when you find these people, once you've developed that trust with them, treat them like gold. You never want to lose these people because there are untrustworthy people out there. There are people you haven't vetted, and they will let you down. Because with them, it's business as usual. With you, it's your book. Little different variation there. Your dependable team that you can count on is gold. Treat them like that. In our case, we ordered them. Sometime around May 15th of that year, I went up to the Colorado Christian Writers Conference in Estes Park, Colorado, just up the road here, and I found a box of books that had been shipped to me. Once again, I slowly opened them. No, actually, I didn't slowly open it. It was kind of like, please, tell me these books looks decent. I went ahead and I opened the box, and sure enough, they looked fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have asked for better. In fact, during that conference, we sold all 25 of the books that I had ordered. I brought the jacked up books, if you will. I brought those with me. And some people said they didn't care. They liked the idea of the book enough that they would actually buy some of those, jacked up ones with the terrible margins. 14 reviews on Amazon by the end of that summer. 2 more in the pipeline. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just saying, here's the breakdown. September 1st, we started writing the book. Not, over the summer, we kind of futzed around with it and kind of brought everything together September 1st. No. September 1st, we started actively writing the book. May 15th, it's sitting on a sales table up in Estes Park, Colorado. That is 8.5 months for those of you doing the math. From the publishing industry talks about from concept to contract. How long does that take? We started from go to book sales table in 8.5 months. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not sure about the IndiPub process, can I just say that right there is the magic of the IndiPub process. In terms of benefits, there is no way to say this. Okay, the publishing industry, general turnaround on a book in the published industry is about 2 years. Now, if Hillary Clinton writes a book, it comes before 2 years, but maybe if they really get in the pipeline, 9 months. You don't get books out that quickly. You just don't do it. Well, you used to not do it. IndiPub, welcome to the world of disruption, everybody. IndiPub, that's exactly how we do it. So, lessons learned. A lot of options on here. Number one, let me just tell you, make sure you like your title. You probably had your title in mind before the book project even started. Make sure you like your title because you're going to say it 500 times. Your subtitle, I have seen people have wonderful titles, and then their subtitles are these tongue twisters. Oh my gosh. I know a gal who she actually got rid of her subtitle in the second printing because it was such a tongue twister, and she had to say it. She said it 50 times, and she was like, I'm done with this. I'm not saying this 500 times. She changed the name of her book because it was too much of a tongue twister. Make sure you know your title, okay? Adventure Devos, make sure you know the subtitle. The first book, the first devotional for men with a heart for risk and danger. Make sure you can say it over and over again without getting tripped up on it. It's terrible. Content, again, you are going to be immersed in every aspect of this book. The fine-tooth comb we put through it before we sent it to formatting and typesetting, 3 times. I read my book start to finish 3 times. And you're like, oh, 3 times in 3 weeks. No, 3 times in 1 weekend. Start to finish, top to bottom, read it through to find any last remaining errors before we send it over to formatting. If you're not liking your book, I sent an email to my editor. It was like, I'm so glad we wrote a fun book, or this would actually be really tedious here by round 3. Make sure you guys know what the book is in you, that you're having fun doing it. I'm just saying, if you're not sure, you got a lot of projects, you got a lot of possibilities, and you're just not sure which one is going to be the one, okay. If you can be excited about that book after you've written it, if you can be sitting at one of these tables out here and be excited about the book you wrote, that's the one you want to work on. That's it right there. I don't care what your friends say. I don't care what your family says. I don't care what the, quote, industry professionals say. Write the book that's in you. One last thought. All the people on my IndiPub team, my editors, my cover artists, my formatter typesetters, all these people, I met them at events. Conferences, events like this, meetings, breakout sessions. You're sitting there having dinner with these people up at the conference venue. I'm telling you, little things, right? Little things connect you to these people and connect you to them. When it comes time for you to put a team together, you're thinking of that guy that, oh yeah, that really nice gentleman I had that talk with up at the writers' conference. Yeah, we really got along good. He said he does editing. I think I've got his card somewhere. I should give him a call. Absolutely, positively. That is what we're looking for. Now, the IndiPub adventure, it's adventurous. Could be a little too adventurous for some. Who's this really for? Okay, you've got time. You've got the time. You are happy learning and experimenting. You are flexible, and you're just okay with failures and setbacks. You gotta be, okay? It is gonna be a bumpy ride at some point in the business. You gotta be okay with it. All right? Again, it's like moving to Canada. It feels familiar, but there's still some bumps in there. Absolutely. You don't have to learn everything. You can shortcut it. We were talking about hybrid publishing. Here's the problem. The publishing industry thought ebooks were the digital disruption to their industry. Wrong. Ebooks were the consumer side disruption. The publishing side disruption is you guys. You're the disruption. IndiPub is a major disruption, enough so that the last time I was at writers' conferences, most of the major publishers have created an arm or extension of their publishing house, and it's their hybrid publishing arm. What is hybrid publishing? Well, it's basically this. They don't want to put a bunch of money into your book if it's not going to get their money back in sales. That's just how it works, right? They're betting on you. They're investing in you. They might not want to invest in you, thus they don't give you a book contract. Well, in this case, you're going to underwrite all the costs, but you're going to use their people. So their stable of editors, their cover artists, their people who do formatting, typesetting, if they've got people who do ebook conversion or audiobook, they've got these people. And here's the key. These people are good. These people know what they're doing. They're professionals. They're dependable. Of course you want to work with these people. And for a price you can. We probably got some people around here. Someone at least said they did a hybrid publishing journey. I can tell you a little bit about it. Real world, money-wise, I'm just going to tell you guys right now. Okay, these are just ideas, but just to get an idea for what is IndiPub going to cost me. If you're going my route, about $1,200. Okay, if you really bottom line it and you do most of the work yourself, $1,200. And when you pay, $450 to that guy to do the format typesetting, he just saved your mind, okay? So just pay him the money and be okay with it. $2,500, you're looking medium of the road. That's what most people are going to hit on. If you've got $5,000, ladies and gentlemen, don't make yourself crazy. Go talk to one of these hybrid publishers and make them do it. $5,000 gets you the deluxe option with bacon, okay? So I'm just saying, maybe think about what you want to do because the hybrid option is there and it is very real and it's actually pretty nice. Now, for those who are wondering, how do I know it's not for me? Well, very simply, if you're just tired of nobody likes my book idea, nobody likes my my option, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to get myself published. That's probably a very bad reason to do this. Okay, you need to listen to what those people are saying. What's their feedback on why they don't like your book? That's very, very important to us. Okay. Also, it's not a shortcut to learning your craft. Okay, my writing's pretty crappy, and nobody wants to publish it, but I'll just publish it myself. Also a bad idea. Remember, the folks on Amazon, they are smart cookies. They recognize indie done wrong in a second, okay? Indie done right. That's what we're looking for. That is the key. So, what do you guys want to do next? You want to assemble your team. You want to find a community, okay? Easiest way to do that, these guys standing right over here. Okay, on the back of your program, you've got some options. You've also got an email address for Heather. She works for the library. She's the one that set up this event today. Connect with her. Connect with someone at the library. Do you know how many writers groups meet regularly at the library? And I mean physically at the library, this one right here, right? The Right Brain group does it. The Fiction group does it. Writers on the Rock is over at East Library. You've got so many book groups. Guys, writing is a solitary It's just, there's no way around it. You do what you do alone. Even when you're at Starbucks over in the corner, you're by yourself. You're in your own little world. It is a solitary business. Connect with people who are going to support and encourage you in that solitude, okay? Writing conferences, if you're not going to writing conferences currently, you should be. Make it happen. Take $20, $30 out of your paycheck every month so that you can pay for one come springtime. These are going to be the best things in the world. If you want, I generally tell people, if you want to know what's going to make the biggest difference in your writing, that's it right there, Writers Conference. Go immerse yourself in a world of industry folks who talk the industry, they live the industry. They will ask you the best questions in the world because when you go to a barbecue and you're talking about your book, people ask, oh, you're a writer. Have I read anything you've written? I don't know. And that's pretty much it. And they say, good heavens, I'm out of lemonade, and they walk away. When you go to a writer's conference, they want to know what you write. And if you, I got some book ideas. No, what do you write? Oh, I write nonfiction. Awesome. What kind of nonfiction? Oh, well, I write, biblical devotionals. Oh my gosh, that's really crazy, right? Adventure Devos. You got to have an answer for it because they want to know what you're writing. They want to know why you're the one to write that book. They want to know who your audience is. They just ask better questions, and it sharpens us as writers when people ask us good questions. Go to a writer's conference. It's going to make all the difference in the world. If you guys have something in mind and you're like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do this. I want to do this. What's my next step? Right here. Assemble your team. You need to get an editor, preferably 2. You need formatting, typesetting, cover art, beta readers, marketing. If you want to do ebook conversion or audiobook, library, again, can talk to you about some of that. How do you find these people? Well, again, I found them all at writing conferences. For you guys, what's the best way to do it? Talk to your fellow authors. Okay, if you're sitting in the back of the room right now behind a table, I'm going to throw you under the bus. Don't hate me for this. But if you see one of these book tables someone's written a book similar to yours. My guess is whoever they used for their editing team probably will work with you. Maybe. Ask them. Ask them where they got their editor. Ask them who did the formatting typesetting for their book, if you like the look of it, right? Come on up and ask me who did formatting typesetting for my book, if you like the look of it, right? We want to share. This is a community of sharing, okay? So if you write really niche-y stuff, Amish romances set on Mars, well, if you see somebody else writing speculative fiction, guess what? Their editor will probably connect with you, and maybe not so many others. But that's the key here, okay, guys? You want to talk to people who are writing books like yours, and you want to ask them who their resources were, see where they can point you first and foremost. After that, you just get to know people at writers' conferences. Marketing, beta readers, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, your mom is a lovely, lovely person, but she's not your beta reader, okay? Mom loves everything you write. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, okay? So what we want to do is we want to get some beta readers, professional readers, or people who are very competent readers. The person in your life who goes through 50 books a year, that's the person you want reading your work. If you're in a critique group, you already have your beta readers. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for, okay? Get your team together, work with them. Again, you guys are the disruption in the publishing industry these days. They haven't seen anything like you. Now, to their credit, they're doing better than the recording industry of America did when they were trying to sue people illegally downloading digital music files, and they're doing a little better than the movie guys did as they were trying to figure it all out. These guys, they're at least getting in front of it, right? The newspapers, published magazine publishers, they're all still trying to figure it out. But the publishing guys, they're at least trying to get in front of it, and they're putting their hybrid folks out there at conferences. Whatever you choose, the important thing is, it's a crazy, crazy world, and there's a lot of distractions from you sitting down writing a book. You know the book that's in you. You know the book you want to write. You know the impact it's going to have on people. You know the change it's potentially going to make in people's lives. But there's so many distractions. There's so many reasons not to do it. And so we stand back and we watch others. We show up every year at Indie Author Day, and we see somebody in the back of the room with a table, and we think, I wish I was them. You have a roadmap. You've been given instructions. Are you putting together a team? Are you connecting with the library and finding groups that you can connect with here that will help move you forward, that will help encourage you, that will help support you in this adventure? Because when you look at those wind and the waves, yeah, they're big, and they can be a little crazy. And the IndiPub process can seem a little daunting. But when you get a group of people standing behind you, helping move you forward, helping encourage you, doing your beta reading, doing good, solid editing for you, whatever it is, all of a sudden, the wind and the waves, they're behind you, actually pushing you forward now. All that craziness that was distracting you before, now it's a reason to do it. It pushes you forward. It makes the situation go around. And instead of being the person here next year saying, I wish I was holding my book in my hands now. Instead, you're the person next year who's oohing and aahing to someone next to you. Because guess what? Remember that spazzy guy, Eric, last year who was talking about, you can do this, and here's how to do it? Yeah, I did it. And look at this. And they'll pull out of their book bag their book. And then they'll go on gushing about how it worked and how it didn't work and how this crazy setback hit them and they thought it was all over. And they will tell you the story, and you will wish it was you. So, between now and next year, figure out what that idea is. Get a community surrounding you. Start to assemble your team. And instead of fearing those waves, be the one who decides, now, we're going to do this. And when you look at the wind and the waves, you won't get scared. You'll say, let's go surfing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric. Adventure is my brand. Thank you so very much for having me here this morning.